Thank you, Peenink, for the introduction. My name is Gracie Raver, and I was, as Peenink said, an ETA up in Galasin. And I'm very excited to be talking with two of my fellow Fulbrighters from this past grant year. First of all, here we have Anutai Galgan, and he was a Fulbright researcher doing his research focusing on translating classical Thai text into prose, English prose. And then we also have Matthew Kelly, who was an English teaching assistant, and he was teaching up in Chiang Mai province. Okay. So we're talking today about making an exchange and the never-ending stories that come from those exchanges. So I want to start off this discussion asking a similar question with what we started with in the last sessions. So what kinds of expectations or goals did you both have coming into your Fulbright year?
So before I came to Thailand, I remember talking with my father, and I was quite confident then, and I told him I was going to be the best ETA ever. And at the time, I really was unsure of what exactly that meant. I had an idea that would mean me coming to Thailand, learning Thai, learning different cultural phenomenon of Thailand, and then also being able to teach English in a fun and engaging way, so students in my head, so students would be able to learn more about themselves and about being Thai through learning English. So I think before I came to Thailand, my expectations were in line with the Fulbright mission, and I think for exchanges to be possible and to really strive for the best, they need to have very high goals to strive for.
But it's great to have the high goals, but I think you and I both know that we didn't necessarily meet every goal, and that's okay. I know when I came here, I had plans. I came on a somewhat different grant. I came on a research grant. I had similarly very high goals. I work in translation of classical literature, and initially had anticipated doing 3 major pieces, and a year later I'm still working on the first one. And I think that's actually something that's worth mentioning about the importance of exchange programs, is that it's great to have goals, and of course you need goals and a guideline to follow, but also the exchange experience should be about making mistakes, learning from them, learning what was too much, learning what you need to focus on before the next step can be made.
Yes, that certainly is true, because I do remember about 3 weeks after I got to where I was teaching, telling my father I am the worst ETA ever. So that's quite a swing.
So then you came into this program with these goals and things that you wanted to accomplish, and as it was happening, you saw that these goals and expectations, you could change them a little bit. So as these changes were happening, how do you think that Fulbright or your schools really supported these changes and ideals that you had?
I think with the support of Fulbright and knowing that my school had an experience hosting other teachers and a knowledge of American culture, that I was very, very comfortable as you could be being in a new culture. Especially with Fulbright, having them always there, even if I personally never really had an issue or a problem, but knowing they are there as a family, more so as they're more like a family to me, more than grant administrators. And I think that has been very, very helpful and very, very important to me for for me being able to go about and teach and learn and succeed and fail.
Right. I think that's another great thing about well, the Fulbright researcher program is that คือ Fulbright จะมีหลายประเภทนะครับคือจะมี2ประเภทหลักก็คือ ETA คือสอนหนังสือสอนภาษาอังกฤษในจังหวัดต่างๆแล้วก็มีแบบสำหรับทำงานวิจัยนะครับส่วนผมได้รับทุนทำงานวิจัยอาจจะต้องปรับความเข้าใจนิดนึงคือผมเนี่ยเดิมเป็นคนไทยเกิดที่เมืองไทยแต่ว่าเนื่องจากผมไปอยู่ที่สหรัฐประมาณ20 ปีและได้โอนสัญชาติเป็นประชากรที่อเมริกาผมก็ได้รับทุน Fulbright มาในฐานะฝรั่งเพื่อมาทำงานที่เมืองไทยครับ what were you talking about? But I think one of the great things about the Fulbright program is that they trust our own self-direction, and they trust us to do what we need to get done and what we plan to get done between us and our, well, for me, my advisor under the research program.
Okay, great. Okay. So we've been talking, and I think we all can agree that exchange programs bring about big changes, you know, in yourselves, in your schools. But what are the changes? Can you give us some examples of how you have changed as a person, how your communities have changed, your host institutions? Any examples you can think of?
I have a few examples. So every Tuesday when the kids come to school, I greet them and speak maybe a question or two in English. And from the time that I first came to my school, some students are very, very shy and very, very scared. But just last Tuesday, these same students come up, and instead of me asking questions, it's them asking me questions of what I just taught them the previous week. And as a teacher, and just knowing how difficult it is to learn a foreign language, and especially English, it's such a great feeling having them excited to speak English and remembering what it is that I taught them. And another story is, so one Muldoon girl that just came this past term, not really interested in learning English, so when I would speak to her, it usually always be in Thai, and when I would try and speak English, she would always respond in Thai. But just maybe 2 weeks ago, as I'm walking to a classroom to teach, she sticks her head out of the room and goes, "Where are you going?" And that was the first time she had really ever spoken English to me. And I stopped dead, and I was like, I didn't even know how to respond to that. I was just so happy. And for me personally, it has been not trying to have my own personal ideas about how I am going to teach English, but by learning from the students themselves and taking what their interests are. And I think that has not only improved my teaching, but has also helped me learn a lot more about Thailand and a lot about Ghost too. Because one of my best lessons, and I love telling this story, is so my students love Ghost, and they have a weird love obsession with Ghost. And they're always asking, oh, like, wherever I go, like, "Bai kon dio, gu a pi go?" And so I was having difficulties trying to get this one particular class interested. So I made up an elaborate story of a ghost living in my house and in the house next to mine and walking around and haunting the school. And from then on, all the students came to class and were like, you see ghost? You see ghost? And whether it's me teaching about Ghost for that one particular time or the week after, they're still interested and they still come to class now. So I love Ghost.
I would say I think